What is up, Strike Squad? So, today, what we're going to talk about is we're pretty much going to go through what to do in a ranged versus melee matchup. So, there are certain things to take a look at here. I mean, Urgot's not like a super crazy ranged top laner in comparison to like Vayne or Quinn or TF, but they're nerfing that stuff. So, there are two things to understand. It's spacing your auto attacks and who's stronger at level 1. So, off of these core concepts, there are other things that we need to take it to understand. So one of the most important things is that this Qiyana is starting right here. So I know that Qiyana for a fact is pathing this way. She's going to be pathing to bot side, which means that as a range champion, one of your biggest concerns is getting ganked early because you're probably going to have push advantage and the jungler is going to want to abuse you because you don't have as many stats, and they're going to look to kind of punish you because you're overextended or pushed up in your lane, and your jungler might not be covering you against, the gank to do a counter gank. Now, with that being said, Urgot luckily not like a very squishy normal range champion. But that aside, let's watch this play out. So what I'm doing right now is I'm pushing because I want level 2 priority. Now, here's the difference. When you're playing a range champion, even though I might aggro these minions, I can always drop aggro in a bush, right? My goal is to take advantage of my stronger level 1, especially since his abilities are on cooldown now, and then pretty much pressure. And then if I can get a good trade because my ability is up and his are on cooldown and I have autos, I can zone him off of all of this farm. And that's pretty much what your goal is as a ranged top laner, or if you're a ranged mid laner into a melee matchup. In the early levels, you have to take advantage of your kiting and your spacing so that you can win trades, right? So like here, we trade a little bit, right? That's fine. Overall, I win this trade. Now, I'm not going to give up my CS just to poke him, but you can see I auto him to apply pressure, and then I immediately go into the bush to drop aggro so that I don't lose the trade by taking too much minion damage. So, I go in, and you can see all of my positioning right now is here. All of my positioning is in this line. It's in this line. It's to keep him pushed back off of these minions and to make him feel the pressure, right? Because the lower he gets, the better this lane is for me. Now, as we keep watching this play out, you're going to notice something else here, and that is, so this is the same for mid lane, and this is the same for top lane, and then it is the same for bot lane. Every single game, if your champions are in the lane and you haven't missed any experience. I'm going to put a little diagram on screen so you guys can see. I don't remember where I got this diagram from, but I think it's very useful. Level 2 in the mid lane and in the top lane happen on the second wave, first melee minion. If there's no more XP in the game, if you don't have XP from like killing a ward or getting an assist or getting first blood early or something like that, it is literally, this is what you need to know. Second wave, first melee, right? That's when your level 2 spike is. This guy probably knows that, and that's why he's playing so far back. Also, why would he play into a stacked wave here? But if I get level 2 and he's up here and I engage on him again, he's dead. Now, luckily for this Volibear, he has the ability to kind of farm with his E from far away. But here, as soon as he walks up and he thinks he's safe, I'm gonna start pressuring him. Because the truth is it's like, okay, he just used his cooldowns, right? And I'm gonna just keep pressuring and pressuring. And the other thing is, I know that the jungler's headed bot side. If I didn't know the jungler was headed bot side, I would need to be warding right now because it's around 220. And between 220 and give or take like 330 is usually when you're going to see the jungler show up for a gank on the top side of the map, if that's where they're looking to gank. Same for mid, if they don't do like a cheesy clear. Now, this is what I'm talking about. Because I'm just pressuring, right? He's super low under tower. Now, if my Elise was faster with her clear, maybe, I think she was actually AFK. I don't remember. I could go back in the video and look. This is a very realistic position where now you can dive, right? So the goal is just to keep pressuring, right? Like I'm just gonna keep pushing him as much as possible every single time he goes for stuff, right? Now here, I probably should have, that's a mistake on me. I should have pressured him to make sure that he didn't get that cannon. I missed that, you know, E, which is pretty bad for me. And this is something else that we'll go over. I flash early here to force out his flash. But the beneficial thing in this is this wave is coming back to me. And I have teleport, right? So everything that just happened, even though it was really, really sloppy, completely worth for me. Because now I can freeze here. So this is pretty much just like a small example and a small little VOD review to pretty much go through like how you want to play melee into range. Now, if you're watching this and you're thinking like, oh, but what if I'm the Volibear? Like, what do I do if I'm the Volibear? Like, what's the correct thing to do here? Well, let's say that I'm not Urgot. You know, let's say that I'm Quinn. Let's say that I'm Vayne. Let's say that I'm Teemo, right? So if I'm Teemo and this is Volibear, right? And you're asking like, well, what do I do? It seems like you just get to pressure up and there's nothing I can do. What you do is you get any farm you can. If Teemo's playing back here, you go up and you grab minions when you can, right? You're probably not going to get these in the early game. It doesn't matter so long as you get the XP. The way that League is designed is that most melee champions will outscale range champions with their armor and health, especially in the top lane. So what happens is, as you get XP, as you get your level 6 spike, as you get items, you'll eventually scale up and you'll be able to deal with the Teemo or whatever it is. So there are a couple things that this guy did wrong. So first off, he took Doran's Ring. He should have gone Doran's Shield knowing that he was into a ranged matchup so that he could have more sustain, because he knows if I'm playing the matchup correctly, he knows that I'm going to keep poking him, so he needs the health regen to stay in lane. Because I'm going to be really aggressive, because this is my time to be really aggressive. Now, I don't know if he took Second Wind. I didn't see that he took Bone Plating, but he may have taken Conditioning. I'm not sure. But if he did take Second Wind, that's correct. You want Second Wind, Doran Shield, in my opinion. And then the thing you want to rush first, if you can, is Ninja Tabby. Because then you have health regen, and you have a direct damage nerf to the autos that the enemy champion is going to be applying to you. And with these two things, it allows you to stay in lane longer, and allows you to pretty much survive laning phase and collect as much farm and XP as possible. And then as the game progresses and you get tankier and you scale, then eventually you'll be able to run down the ranged opponent. Also, what happens a lot in these matchups is the ranged character is pressured to try and move up, right, and poke, which means that they're going to be shoving the lane constantly, which opens them up to a lot of jungle ganks where you can apply pressure and make kills happen. So communicate with your jungler if you're looking for that, right? Like, had Qiyana started bot side and gotten top and been healthier, and Volibear played this more respectfully where he has full HP, there's a chance where they gank me, right, in this position when I'm close to tower and I die, right? But that's not what they planned. That's not what they did. So, just a little rundown of like the ranged versus melee matchups. I hope that this was helpful for you guys. This doesn't cover like everything in terms of all of the nuance of like spacing, trading around the last hits and not trading, or trading around your enemy's last hits and not your last hits so you don't miss CS, trading around cooldowns. Like, these are all things that could be separate videos in and of themselves, but this is just a little bit of a summary on how ranged versus melee matchups work in isolated lanes. And this also applies for mid lane. Like, if let's say that this is a Xerath into a Yasuo, right? Until Yasuo hits level 2, um, if he doesn't have E, if he doesn't have his gap close, and he took like Q first, and he doesn't have his tornado stacked up, you should just auto the crap out of him. Your auto attack range is longer than his initial ability. The way you get health advantage and the way that you pressure him so that he's not like healthy enough to just all in you is just by contesting every piece of farm and just beating the crap out of him. The thing you got to watch out for though is you only can space up to your minions, especially if you don't have a bush to drop aggro, because in the early game if you're attacking, let's say that I'm here, right? And Volibear's here. And let's say that I'm throwing autos at him. I'm going to lose that trade because all of these minions are going to aggro onto me. And when those minions aggro onto me, I'm going to take more damage than he does, and then it's not worth the pressure. So make sure that you're dropping aggro, make sure you're paying attention to minions and wave state. That's obviously going to be the most important thing in the early game. So I hope this was helpful for you guys, and I will see you in the next one.